So we'll stick with the offensive line here as former Alabama starting right tackle Elijah Pritchett was a former 5-star in the 2023 class out of Columbus, Georgia. Looks like he's trending towards the Nebraska Cornhuskers, a program that's been very active in the portal. A lot of what they've done has been very directly for the quarterback position, as most schools at this time of year are doing on the offensive side of the ball. But protecting Dylan Raiola, getting him weapons has been, priority A and priority 2A for Nebraska. And Pritchett, a guy who had an up and down season for Alabama, from, what I've seen and the sentiment amongst Alabama fans is that he struggled in pass protection. I think the PFF numbers will back that up for the most part. But offensive line, we talk about O-line and D-line here, and we always say you bet on the talent, you bet on the upside. These guys are developmental, even if they're a 5-star. These are positions of development, and Nebraska taking a chance here on a guy who just started an entire season in the SEC.
Yeah, and one thing that Matt Rule loves, it is physical traits. He is a guy that is obsessed when it comes to evaluating high school players, or in this case, college players, with physical traits, whether that's track times for wide receivers, shot puts, whatever for linemen. So you talk about Elijah Pritchett. This is a former 5-star player from Columbus, Georgia, 6'6", 327 pounds. So the dimensions are just unique, and he can move. Now look, on the field in the SEC, did not have a great year. 31 pressures, worst on the team, 6 sacks. But he started 12 out of 13 games, mostly on the right side, also filled in for Caden Proctor when he was hurt. So you have experience, you have traits. This is a classic bounce back candidate. You're losing Bryce Benhart. You need another tackle. This is someone who can slide right in, help protect Raiola. And look, it's not going to be perfect. That's why you're getting a 5-star, 6'6", 327-pound tackle in the portal. If it was perfect, those guys would be untouchable. They'd either be at the school they're at or in the pros. But this is someone you can develop and work with, and you trust your offensive line coaching to get the most out of him, change the scenery. There were some off-field distractions, too, with Pritchett. Kind of self-imposed off-the-field distractions. Arrested in December 2023 for knowingly passing on a sexually transmitted disease. That one got a lot of press, as you can imagine. Also arrested for speeding that April. He flirted with the portal around December of this time period, ultimately coming back. So a lot of baggage there at Alabama. Gets a fresh start at Nebraska. Should get that starting job at right tackle. And it's going to be interesting to see if all these additions that Nebraska has made, right, between, the Dane Keys of the world and others at the receiver position, right? You talk about Harley Gilmore, adding speed and size and athleticism at receiver. Now you're adding offensive line support for Dylan Raiola. I think it's clear that the idea is let's get this guy, our franchise, in the best position to break out and have that huge sophomore year, because he showed flashes as a freshman, but the expectations now rise as a sophomore. Can the supporting cast rise with him?
And Canes Cats Heat 305 is asking what his market was in the portal. It's interesting. He entered the portal on January 4th, and he's been, he's getting these predictions now 2-3 days later. So it seems like it was a pretty quick recruitment there. And look, a guy like this, as you mentioned here, anyone with SEC experience and only a sophomore with those physical traits is going to be, a take in this situation. This is a guy that I don't know what the number was, but I'm sure that he's getting paid well for his services.
Right. No, this is a top 10 portal class right now for Nebraska. Some names I didn't mention, Isaiah Hunter from California, right? A big play, very talented receiver that's going to help Raiola along with Harley Gilmore and, of course, Dane Key. And then biggest one of all, as far as we're talking about loving traits, Williams Nwaneri from Missouri, defensive end, former 5-star, goes to Nebraska, hadn't produced a ton as a true freshman last year for Missouri. So he goes to Nebraska, not very far, with a chance to really maximize his potential. So you see the pattern. Traits, and then also trying to build around Raiola. I think you accomplish both of those with the addition of Pritchett. Now it's about him taking that next step with his 2 years of eligibility and becoming what people expected out of high school.
Kane's Cats he threw off of asking what his rating was in the portal. He says he has to be a top 5 to 10 guy. I don't know what he is right now. We can pull that up here.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now. But again, this is a top 10 portal class, by the way, before Pritchett officially gets added. So Pritchett in the portal ranking is a 4-star 92 overall ranking according to 247. That's a strong ranking there in the portal. So he's going to elevate Nebraska's ranking, which is already top 10, a little bit more. 92 is a good ranking. And again, it's because of the experience at tackle, which is invaluable. And then the size. I think those are the traits that enable him to be that 4-star 92 transfer, despite not being, a sensational on-field performer to this point. Is you want guys with experience. You don't want guys that, look at like a Miles McVay, for example, who went to North Carolina from Alabama. Also very talented, also highly touted, also big with the right dimensions, but he didn't play very much, right, for North Carolina. So Bill Belichick gets him based on the traits. This is someone who also has the traits, but he's played 12 of 13 starts this year. So I think that's what elevates him to that 92 transfer ranking, and someone that Nebraska probably feels pretty good about adding to that offensive line room.